tonight.
Time for your weekly dose of pop culture
With Cassie and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Hey!
Welcome.
Hi!
Saturday
It's
night.
Kenny with his beard not even together. I didn't realize my beard wasn't together like that. I didn't realize. My bad. Ladies, sorry.
I don't think the ladies care. I don't think the
think they
ladies
do.
are tuning in to look
I
at your
think
beard.
they do. I think they
I
do.
don't think they do.
think
Wrong answer.
I think
Hey,
they care.
oh, how are you this evening? Hello, cousin Lisa.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Loving that intro music, and you know what? And all the music.
I was dancing. I was.
Yeah. Well, again, I try to pick music that kind of works with our theme, and I know I could have picked looking at a bunch of genres, but I like the salsa, so I tried to pick something of
No,
that
I
flavor
like the sound
because of our show tonight. Because
Yeah.
September 15th through October 15th is the celebration of Latinx Hispanic Heritage Month. And I know last year we celebrated and we had a special guest on and really had some really great conversations and some great new learning for me as well. And it was so interesting because I was listening to a news program and they were talking about the Emmys, and we might get into that as well, and talking about that yes, there was record nominations for Latinx people, but no wins. So what's that about? And also how hard it is to get projects out there and in the public that represents America, which is this melting pot, this blend of culture and all that. So I'm just excited about tonight's show.
Yes, I am too. Because tonight we have our same guest from last year, Rico, and I met Rico a few years ago. I was part of a play production, and he was the director. And he's just a really cool guy. I've run into him at comic book conventions and everything else. So, you know, you know what? Actually, you know what, Kathy? With no further ado, let's introduce Rico into our screen.
All right. Welcome, Rico.
What's up, guys? Can you see my
man.
Can you see my Hulk Spider-Man?
Yeah, I can see that. That's nice.
Zombies.
That is nice. That is
always
nice.
representing.
I am always outnumbered.
Always representing Rico. I like that.
By the comic book crowd. I am woefully behind.
You know what? And Kat, I do this every show, and Kathy's like, I don't know how you reference everything back to comic books. But I'm gonna start the show off with something very off the cuff. Latino characters in comic books.
Are there any?
Hispanic characters in comic books?
Yes.
The most popular.
Go ahead.
Right
your
now
show. I'm your
Miles
guest.
Morales.
Go ahead.
No. I want
Miles
you to speak as much as you want. Miles Morales is probably the most popular.
Miles Morales. Right now, Miles Morales, Afro Latino, Black father, Puerto Rican mother, Afro Latina herself.
Yes.
So that's I'm making an effort as my youngest, who is a year and a half, gets older. My blonde hair, blue eyed Puerto Rican son. Really get indoctrinated with comics, with knowing who Miles Morales is, because it's important. The representation is important.
Right.
There was Hector Ayala back in the 70s, I believe. He was the White Tiger, the original White Tiger.
Yes.
Who apparently is supposed to be a villain. Might be rumored to might be a villain in the Black Panther 2. Introducing him that way.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't either. I know it's going to be Namor.
White Tiger is a hero.
He started out as a bad guy in jail. Okay, and then he discovered this amulet that gave him the power of the White Tiger. But it used to be only in Puerto Rico. He used to only been able to transform into the White Tiger. in Puerto Rico, and then they expanded it where he could be out in New York. And now I believe it's his niece who's the new White Tiger. I haven't been really caught up with it, but I believe his niece is the White Tiger now, which I'm all about actually having her introduced as a White Tiger than do the origin story. But it's still, the representation matters, and it's still kind of cool that the name is being tossed around, because that was the first Puerto Rican superhero that I knew as a kid, was White Tiger.
Right. Yeah.
So
because there wasn't a high representation. When Batman Adventures it was that one character, the police officer.
Montoya.
Montoya.
Is that her last
Montoya.
name?
Yeah. And there's the White Tiger right there. And
she was in the movies. Then they did the Harley Quinn movie, and Rosie Perez played her. Yeah,
Rosie Perez. Yes, which I thought was great casting. I for one, love the Harley Quinn movie.
I enjoyed that movie a lot. I enjoyed that movie a lot. I enjoyed that movie more than I thought I would. I enjoyed that movie a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest.
Well, anything was better than Wonder Woman 84. So
I didn't hate that movie. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it.
I hated that movie. I hated that movie. But back to the Latino representation in comic books. I think there should be a bigger presence. The characters, there's no Latino character I can think of that's starring in their own book, besides Miles Morales.
Well, there actually is one.
Who?
There actually is one. Did
he freeze or did I freeze?
And she is a hero in New York and Puerto Rico. She has her own comic. She absolutely 100% has. Her name is La Borinqueña. Look it up. She has her own comic. Yeah, and
who publishes that?
I've been low key tweeting Disney and Marvel and everything to get her in a movie. Because I want my representation. I forget who I forget. I wanted to say they had something to do with Marvel at first.
Kind of like a milestone thing with DC.
Yeah, and but she has like her own. But I think it's on an indie line. But she has her own. She has her own comic. Like she's her own hero, like the whole nine. So I've been tweeting like crazy for years. Like she needs to have her own movie.
I gotta find one of those. Are they digital, or you can actually get the?
You can get digital and a raw book.
Yeah, I like raw book. I like it raw.
Yeah, me too. I'm old, so I like the raw book. But like she has her, and she's
something about
very
digital
positive.
And raw book that I just can't.
Yeah,
even when it comes to like ebooks and other books, besides comic books, I'd rather have an actual book in my hand than do an ebook. That's just me.
Oh, I understand. I'm right there with you. But she definitely, definitely look it up. And for anybody,
now, what is the name of this character again?
Her name is La Borinqueña. So
La Borinqueña.
So when before it was named Puerto Rico, the island was named Borinquen. Okay, if in English it would be spelled out Borike. That's La Borinqueña right there.
There she is, right there. Oh,
and look, Hector Lavoe right beneath her in the white suit right there. That's a straight up rip off, looking like Hector Lavoe. But yeah, that's the Puerto Rican superhero that I think.
Need to know. I need to look that up and see who the publisher is on that.
Everybody. Maybe it's Image. I don't know if it's Image. I don't know if it's Image, but I believe they might have had a crossover with Marvel at some point. Like she might have been like a side character in a Marvel story here and there.
Can you flash that picture again? Kathy, can you flash that again? Okay, here you go.
Yeah, so she's really that's I really want her to get her own story. Even like if it's Disney, like Disney Plus, like something. Because is she like a female? Is she like a female Superman? Pretty much. Let me see. I'm gonna get comics. I'll tell you right now who her publisher is, so we don't keep anybody waiting. Publishers, Edgardo Miranda Rodriguez is the creator, and it was originally published in 2016. And Collabs, fiction, recognition, publication history. It doesn't give me any. It doesn't give
Distinct
me any
publisher.
publisher.
Yeah.
You know, but still, it's a great read. It's wonderful. It's very colorful. The coloring, I'm always big on. I'm very weird on. Believe it or not, when it comes to comics, just in general, I don't like the way the new comics are drawn and colored now. I miss
Mhm.
the old way. Because for
Yeah.
me, for some reason, the old way felt real. They looked
Yeah, I
real,
know what you're talking
and
about. I
these
know
look
exactly what you're
more
talking
of
about. Yeah.
it's more of a Japanese anime kind of
Yeah.
knockoff kind of thing. And but the colors in here are bright. They're vibrant. Uh, Let me see. Somos. That looks like that's the publisher. Somos. So it looks like it's also a Latinx
Well,
publishing
this year's
company.
with Wonder Woman,
Yep.
so
She was
so
one of those
DC's
DC,
already
that
done a
not that
crossover.
Marvel. They did a whole series about when Hurricane Maria came through, and they did a whole
Really?
thing where Wonder Woman came and helped her, help Level in Kenya, bring
Well,
food
no,
and stuff
it's
to the
funny
people.
how last week we were talking about 9/11. Was it last week or the week before? We were talking about 9/11, and one of the things I was saying about was how a lot of the 9/11 scenario played out in the comic books, whereas no hero
Hmm.
was able to rescue anybody, but they were all part of the cleanup. So it's amazing, like how they have comic books mirror real life.
Oh yeah,
So her being
oh
part
yeah,
of
and
Maria.
I've always
Also, there's another hero, and she's actually behind me on my wall. She's part of the Ultimates. Was it Miss America? The new Miss America or something like
for
that for
or is it the
Marvel.
new
I
Miss
think she's
Marvel?
Latino. No, not the new Miss Marvel.
The new Oh no,
She's
Chavez, America Chavez.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
she's Miss Marvel. She's Miss Marvel.
No, she's not
She's
Miss Marvel.
Chicana. Yeah, that's her name. Ms.
Yeah.
They have they're doing Ms. Marvel. There's Ms. Marvel, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. There's so many damn Marvels that they have on there. But America Chavez, I'm telling you,
Okay.
America
Yeah.
Chavez, I believe she's under the moniker of Miss Marvel, but she is Chicana. She's Afro Latina. Miss America, you're right. Miss
Yeah, Miss
America.
America. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
She's going to
usually
be
right when it
introduced
comes
as
to comic
well.
books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude,
So
I worked all day bartending in Philly. I'm exhausted right now.
really?
So, oh
Okay.
dude,
All right.
I'm
Well,
so tired.
we appreciate American Chavez. We appreciate you being here. Okay,
No,
now let's
I'm
get off of
glad.
comic books.
Okay,
Let's get off of comic books so we can get Kathy into the conversation.
sure.
Um, I want to talk about some icons, Hispanic
Hey,
icons
you
right
guys
now,
go because
and
I was
and the
actually
Hispanic
getting an
community. What?
education with the comic book, so I think it's quite cool
Okay,
because I don't know. I just feel like there's so many different like elements of pop culture, and that we need to have more representation. I just feel like so if we're exposing
There's
people
not enough.
to yeah, go
Right.
ahead, Rika.
go ahead.
There's not enough. The Latinx community is the most underrepresented community. I said this last year. Still in Hollywood, in theater, in comics, any type of entertainment. When it comes to that. Now look at the music industry. Just for example, like who's like one of the hottest artists out there right now? Bad Bunny. And I'm not a big fan of his music, but I recognize that that's what it is. And when you have little white kids and you have anyone who's not Latinx and don't speak Spanish, and they're rapping these rhymes and singing singing music, uh, I feel like it's the same thing. You're not giving due to the artists and their culture, and it's a misappropriation. And I
Again,
know, and I know,
that's the history of America, though. It's like
we
let's
yes,
appropriate
yes.
Yeah,
uh,
it is.
someone else's culture for our benefit and our profit, and not always give them, again,
The
the
credit we deserve
recognition
for that.
for
You know.
yeah. I mean that's and music. I think has done that more than anything.
Right. Lin-Manuel
Music
Miranda,
and
who
every
is like,
Kardashian alive.
I think he's an Oscar away from getting an EGOT because he's got his Emmy, he's got his Grammy, he's got his Tony.
He does.
Who's that?
So he's just an Oscar away. Yeah. He's an
Um,
Oscar away of getting that EGOT. So like, when you talk about influential, like now,
Mhm.
you see him
yes.
and he's gonna make millions of dollars whatever he puts his name on. So which is great. And what
Yeah.
I do admire about him, and I admire about his father as well. Uh, they really try to do everything they can to give back. I know there was a big debacle about In the Heights movie with not a
Mhm.
lot of Latina representation, and
Hey,
that was
you
a
know
big
what?
thing. And
I
he owned it,
really
and he
didn't
said,
like that.
you're right."
I didn't like that whole. Yeah, I didn't like that whole. I wasn't down with that whole protest on that. I mean,
I
not
wasn't
having no
either.
Afro
I understood.
like you have a Latino movie, and now somebody has to find something to complain about. There's not enough Afro Latinos in there. I don't understand. It was a Latino movie. Why are
Well,
you?
I think the big thing is the majority of Dominicans, of people from the Dominican Republic and people of Dominican descent are Afro Latino for the most part. Like most of them are
Right.
Afro Latino. So um, I can totally understand. I absolutely understand where they're coming from, but I also really can't be like, no, you're wrong because I'm a white passing Puerto Rican. So I don't know. I don't wake up in the morning going, someone's going to look at the color of my skin and be like, nah, not you. Like I could walk in somewhere and no one's going to know anything. Like so, when they complained, when the Afro Latinx community complained about it, it was valid. I supported it. Um, I just felt at some point it was like beating a dead horse. It just kept going and going. He already did his mea culpa. He already did. I'm going to do better. I'm going to, I promise. But they just kept piling on, and I think that hurt the movie. I think that hurt the movie. Um, they said it was very whitewashed. In the Heights is my favorite musical. So, and I'm directing it next summer at the Ritz. So it's like it's very personal to me. Um, I enjoyed the movie. I could see where it was Hollywood up. You had to do a Hollywood movie. I get it, but I wasn't offended by it at all, and I thought it was beautiful. I thought the casting was
I need
beautiful.
to
Um,
I need to get in shape
go
and
ahead.
shave and learn how to sing so I could be that one black guy in there. I
Well,
can audition to be that one black guy. I need to
That's
shave
good.
my beard, audition, get in some shape,
Kenny,
and
you
then learn how
cannot
to sing.
sing.
I tell you what. I am going to be casting. I'm going to focus on Latinx, Black and Brown people. Uh, I'm going to focus on that, and it's important to me. I'm also going to make sure that if I can, if the people are there for auditions, that I also look into the LGBTQI plus community as well. Like there's not, I don't see, to me, I see talent. And if I have a
Yeah,
transgendered man, a transgendered woman, a non-binary person come, Latinx, Black, Brown person come to audition, and you blow my socks off, you getting in the show. And anyone who has a problem
yeah.
with it, they don't need to be in the show. That's just the way I look at things. Um,
And
but I'm
to me,
very
that's
All
excited because it's bringing the Latinx community. It's bringing a show to the community. I'm actually in talks with working with a friend of mine who teaches in Camden performing arts, and she just reached out to me the other day about talking to these high school kids and getting them involved. And like my heart burst because I was one of those kids living in the hood, and to me, theater was my way out. It was my way out, and that was the only way I knew I was going to be able to get out and not come back. And that's what's lacking right now. We all we see now is Jennifer Lopez, uh, Bad Bunny, uh, J Balvin. Like we just see those people, and we just
right.
see them, and there's just so much more. There's so many more actors and artists and
and
photographers
actually
and painters and like
with
just
you
everywhere.
with you as a director, how important was it for you to have a role model, or what directors did you see as role models? Or we last week, it was my birthday, and we talked a little bit about some of the things I liked. And I know even when I did comedy, I actually looked to people like Richard Pryor and George Carlin, because again, I mean, maybe short of Marsha Warfield or Moms May, there weren't a lot of like Black women actually doing what I wanted to do. And so I guess my question is two-part. Who did you look to as an influence? And also, um, how do you translate that into being an influence for other people? Or do you feel like you're an influence as a director? Um, as a Latinx director, you talked about going back to schools and talking to kids and giving them that opportunities. But what other ways, um, do you forge a path?
Well, to answer the first question, who did I look up to growing up? There weren't that many on TV really for me to look up to, and unfortunately, a lot of Latinx performers in theater itself would change their names, and you would have no idea until someone
Wow.
passed. You were like, "Wait a minute, they're what?" Like yeah, I had no idea Linda Ronstadt was half Mexican. I had no idea until she came out with the album
No, who would
"Songs
think
of My
that?
Father."
Mm.
And my mom was like, "Yeah, she's half Mexican." I'm like, "Are you really?" I had no clue when I was a kid. So to me, that was. But for me, I loved growing up. Raul Julia, I was a big like. I
Ah,
just him as an actor,
oh,
um,
he
and it was
wonderful.
just wonderful. As I got older, John Leguizamo was big for me. Just his
Okay.
comedic timing and his one man shows. And I always wanted to do a one man show about my life, and I was like, I could never. I look at that his shows, Freak, Sexaholics, Spicorama, all these Latin History for Dummies or whatever, the one he just had out on Netflix. And I look at that and I'm a perfectionist to a fault. So to me, I'm like, I can't. So I just never even like entertain the idea. But those are kind of people that I would like look up to. Rita Moreno, Cheetah Rivera.
Yeah.
These are people that I looked up to big time. My mother always put in my head, your culture is important. Don't lose the identity of where your people are from. Hector Lavoe, I loved. Jose Feliciano, the blind guitar player. I
Oh,
saw him in
yes.
concert in Lattice, where my family is from.
Wow. And
I
I, I
I
need to
really
I need to
think
take I need to go back a little bit. Hold on, Kenny. I need to go back because
okay.
you know what? You cannot compare your beginning to somebody else's end. So even though you look at John Leguizamo and see these productions that you think are perfect, but
Uh,
again, his story is not going to be your story, and the world might need that story. So if there is that one man show within you, and I'm feeling it. So we might need to see that. So hopefully that's not a project that just gets put off and that you put off and put
I
off.
think you should do it.
That's something that can even start as a small workshop, whether it's just doing
Yeah.
one of those scenes at an open mic or something. But
I
yeah.
definitely I definitely think
Oh,
that should be something.
I think we lost
We,
we lost
we
Rico,
lost
but
him.
he has the link, so hopefully he can jump back in. So, because oh man, I
Now would
just
be a good time for your half hour.
oh my my half hour. Uh, okay. And am I known for that? It's my half hour. Kathy takes a break and just takes a minute to thank you guys for hanging out with us on the Saturday night. This project kind of stemmed from the pandemic and from us kind of. Being at home and not being able to meet up. So Kenny and I have been hanging out on Saturday night to talk pop culture. and to just bond as brother and sister. And you guys have come along. We thank you so much for coming along. Since you are here, please consider giving us a thumbs up, a like if you're watching us on Facebook, or if you're watching us on YouTube, a subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. That's under K-Walk Comedy on YouTube. It helps with their whole algorithm. So once again, thank you for hanging out with Kathy and Kenny as we explore pop culture. So yeah, it's kind of where we talk about junk like this.
I need to know what you thought about the Fast and the Furious.
But to me, was it not Point Break with cars? So again, thanks again.
Did you have to do
You
that
can
one?
support the show by clicking on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. And again, we thank you. All right. Rico, you're
Sorry,
back. We
guys.
lost you for.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Toys
My
it off.
Wi-Fi has always been great. We have files. It's been acting funky like the past week. It's been like kicking us out, shutting off, turning back on. Like,
You know,
but it's
it
been
was
the
a full
neighborhood. Anyone
moon,
who has
so everything
files.
was off.
So those were my influences as far as artists go. Roberto Clemente was my favorite baseball player, even though I never got to see him play. But hearing the stories from my grandfather and the humanity that the man died at 37 years old, I believe, delivering, doing humanitarian aid to Nicaragua, to the people of Nicaragua. Um, and he died in a plane crash.
Oh,
And
wow.
like that was like and this was in the 70s, and he played for the Pirates. And my grandfather was like everything Roberto Clemente. So when I went to Puerto Rico, everything was Roberto Clemente, like just like, and then I just got to study it and study him and the things that he did, not only on the field, on the baseball field, but just in general, and the things that he did. So it was very, those were like my kind of like role models. As far as Latinx people go, as directors go, John Singleton is like, for me, like that's my dude. Like John Singleton is my dude, and who's not
Yeah.
Latinx, but John Singleton is my dude.
And you know what? And
Yeah.
again,
Oh
I'm
yeah. Well,
always
for
struck
good for
too when
one.
I think about, again, living now in 2021 and the people that we have lost, and the fact that John Singleton, director of Boys in the Hood and Poetic Justice, and just some incredible pieces, is no longer with us, is
Yeah,
kind of striking. But I also want to make sure too that again, your story doesn't have to be as perfect as John Leguizamo, but we are going to be looking forward to hearing that. And again,
Yes.
I think too,
I think you should.
as a
And yeah.
director, as a performer, it's always important for us to get our stories out there, because you don't know how they're going to impact people and who they're going to reach and who they're going to help. So, with
I
that
do
in
carry a
mind.
notebook around with me. I do carry a small little book around me. Every time I think of something that happened as a kid or growing up, I just jot it down, and they're all
Mhm.
one-liners. And it's like that time Dad beat me with a belt when I was butt naked in my bedroom. It was just like just stuff like that. But all I need is that one line, and I could tell you the sequence of the entire day of what happened and what led up to that butt whooping. And you know, and I tell my wife these stories, and she looks with amazement. And how are you alive? I tell some friends some stories, and they're like, you need to like write this into a screenplay or something, because this is hysterical. I pitched it to my brother and my sisters, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about, I might want to do this. Will you be okay with this? I don't want y'all to sue me. And my brother was the first one. He looked at me, he goes, what you gonna say? I'm like, I'm just gonna, I was like, I'm gonna, I was like, I'll embellish stuff, but there's truth behind everything. I'm gonna embellish every story, but there's gonna be truth behind everything. And he's like, are you gonna use our names?
As to
You
say,
know,
the
so-
names will be changed to protect the innocent. And you know what I think
You
exactly.
know what?
is so kind of universal, I think, about families, about siblings. I've had friends from all different all different backgrounds. I know when I lived in New York and I worked for Colgate Palmolive, and my one friend who was Korean. And as we would tell stories, and it's like, wow, you see those same similarities. Like, when you're planning to do the right thing, but your sibling suggests something that you really shouldn't be doing, and you do it anyway, and then you both wind up with that whooping.
Yeah.
Although I've never faked amnesia,
Kathy's
in
got me
case
in a
we
lot
tell
of
that story
trouble.
at another time.
What? No,
But some
Kathy's got me in a
stories
lot of trouble.
are
It was never
are
me.
so
It was me
universal.
following Kathy that got me
Oh, okay.
whooped.
Our dad is applying some facts. Actually, the school we went to when it wasn't quite middle school, because I don't think I started middle school till we moved to Jersey, but it was elementary school. It used to be called ILC, but I think it's at Fifth and Luzerne. So for those in
Okay.
Philly, you know where that is. But now it is called the Roberto Clemente Middle School, I believe. But that's actually the
Nice.
school we went to.
Yeah, I went there when we were younger in Philly. Now, I want to say one thing to you about this, because you were saying how your brothers and sisters were like, "Are you going to use our names?" When Kathy did stand-up comedy,
Okay.
I was 50% of her act, and she would talk about me when I
Amen.
was in the
Like you knew.
audience. People knew I was a brother, and they would all look at me like, "You did that?" One time,
So I didn't change the
my
names.
parents were in the government, and she didn't change. You had changed names. We did a black and government. There was a black and government's function. All these beautiful black women in the room. And I'm young, right before I was married, way before I was married. I'm young, I'm looking sharp. My parents were like, big time in the thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, hey, I'm the man. I'm going to get some play. Kathy gets up, and it's a taboo thing. She tells a joke. I got my brother the perfect present for Christmas. White's the oldest white friend. I had no play for him. All the women
See,
just
now
looked at me like, oh, okay.
your microphone broke up on the punchline, but that's quite all right. Um, so, because again, part of our show is also, Kenny's desperate plea for dates. But anyway, um, I remember when last year when we talked, and I kind of got my eyes open because you talked a lot about West Side Story, and how the
Yes.
stereotypical depictions, how they were offensive, and it made me kind of look at that movie in a new light. I was just curious of your thoughts about this new movie. Did it come out? Because
Yeah.
I don't know, with everything post COVID,
No, that's not it.
can't tell whether
It's
things are
Spielberg.
streaming or whether they're really out or not out or are coming out,
Yeah, no, it's not.
Mhm.
It's out until November. I don't think it's out until November. New West Side Story, Steven Spielberg.
Mm.
Actually, Rita Moreno is in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And are you going to go see that movie, Ed?
No.
No.
No. You can put you can you
You're not
can you
going?
could put a you could put a diamond on a turd, and you could spray it with perfume, but at the end of the day it's still a turd. So I have no intention of seeing that movie. Like zero, zero. And I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. It's Spielberg. I'm sure it's going to be beautifully shot, beautifully edited. I'm sure the dancing is going to be phenomenal. I'm sure the actors are going to sing and sound beautiful. Uh,
Mm.
but I have no interest in seeing. Hey, I've seen clips of previews and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that looks beautiful as a film.
Now,
I can
is
appreciate
it
the artistry, but
the story's themes, or just the or
it's
the fact
still.
that they're not using a Latinx director, or what?
See, I come from the notion of I don't need a Latinx director to direct a Latinx show, but the director
Mhm.
needs to have a staff full of Latinx people to keep that director in check. Just like if let's say, for argument's sake, I'm directing Fences. I know nothing about how, even though I grew up in the black community and all my best friends growing up were all black, and
Mhm.
still to this day, um, I'm still not a black man. So I can empathize, I can um, champion, I can assist, I can be there as support, but I can't. I don't know internally what that fight is like because I'm not black. Just like someone who is not of Latinx descent can be all those things to me, but they don't know what it's like being Puerto Rican. You know, they don't know what it's like. So my wife is very supportive, and she's all about my fight. She supports me 110%. She's louder than I am most of the time about things like that. She even, you know, even though our son is half Puerto Rican, my kids are half Puerto Rican, she doesn't know what that feels like. Like I don't know what it feels like to be Italian or German or Irish. Like you know what I mean? So no,
Right.
necessarily. I don't mind that Spielberg directed Color Purple, you know, which is one of my favorite
Right.
movies of all time. And so you don't need to have that person directing it, but you need to have a staff of people that are there. And I think as far as theatrics goes, that's the problem in Jersey, Philly. Like that's the problem. You can have someone who is not of a certain ethnicity or race um,
Hmm.
direct the show, but then their staff doesn't reflect the theme of the show. That's where the problem is, and that's where I have a problem. So it has nothing to do with Latinx uh,
Uh,
directing West Side Story.
uh,
It's just the overall theme of the show bothers me still.
okay. And again, I remember actually being shown it in school, juxtaposed with Romeo and Juliet as a way to study Shakespeare. So I guess that's why I I had always watched the movie and enjoyed it because, you know, again, it was kind of my bridge to understanding again Shakespeare, or seeing those kind of Shakespearean themes in different settings.
Right.
So,
It's an old
but
show. It's an old show.
but
Now, if it's
mhm,
updated, people are saying it's updated. Um, but I'm not going to go out and see it. Honestly, if people who I trust their opinion, who knows how I feel about the show in general, come to me and say, "Dude, seriously, watch this. It's not what it used to be." Then I'll give it a
uh,
try when it comes out on cable or something because I'm not going to pay money to see it. But
right.
um,
So they're not
you
getting your
know, no,
money.
for real. I'm just being,
And I
I'm
hear
just
you
being
because
honest.
that's kind of how I felt about The Help, because everybody was talking about this book and talking about the movie, and it was like, no, no, thank you. I remember when I was in New York, and actually one of the biggest auditions I had, I probably blew it because I was prejudiced before I even started. Because when I got the sides, the
Hmm.
character I had to play was a maid, and I was just like, really? Do I really
Right.
want this part? So
Right. No, I
the
totally
energy and effort
understand.
I put in it just probably it wasn't there, because I'm thinking, and that's you know, and then again, that was the beauty of comedy, because I got to tell my story in my voice. And as a comedian, you're the writer, director, editor, and everything, as opposed to waiting for
Right.
somebody to cast you in a show. Because when I did do some off Broadway, again, the roles that I had the opportunity to play, to me, weren't um you know, again, it wasn't until I did some community theater here in North Carolina where I got to kind of stretch, and I could do other parts that weren't traditionally, you know, like Steel Magnolias. So I got to do the Weezer role, which,
Oh,
you
awesome.
know,
That's great. That's a
being
great
a
role.
comedian, that's like, you know, I get
Yeah.
to choose
Yeah.
some scenery. But and right before the pandemic in 2019, I got to do um oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the play. My
Racing in the Sun.
goodness, Lorraine Hansberry,
Racing
most
in the
famous play
Sun.
ever. Raisin in the Sun. So,
Racing in the Sun. It
yeah, and that was an awesome experience too, because you know, again,
was a great play.
being here in North
Um,
Carolina, some of the
did a great
theater I've
job on
gotten to
that.
do, it has been very, you know, diverse cast, but that was one of the first times I got to do kind of like, you know, an all black piece. And even with our director, who was we were doing it in a theater where in the 60s, they had performed this play, and actually the person who directed it had a cross burned at their house, because again, the town, the community, they didn't want, this all black production to be
Jeez.
performed in Hickory, North Carolina. But so it was really interesting because the director, and talking to us about our characters and different things, actually kind of gave us like different civil rights activists and icons to kind of help us find the truth for our characters. So
Hmm.
just just
Well,
so
I mean,
I
that's
can
great.
understand what you're saying about having that kind of
Yeah.
connection,
Yeah.
and so that the director, even if you haven't lived the experience, that you can um have the people in behind the scenes to make that influence. And I always worry
Right.
about that because I kind of feel like there is not enough um minority representation like behind the camera. So the stuff that usually gets in front of the camera, and I'm not even just talking about directors and the whole staff, but even the people who finance and the money behind it, the producers, the people who greenlight stuff. Are
Right.
they greenlighting things with people who represent kind of what America represents? Because if you look out there, it is
Right.
growing more and more diverse, and you know. If we take, I know they just did a census, but I'm sure by the time they do the next
Yeah.
census, there's going to be a shift. I don't even think
Oh yeah.
black folks are going to be
Well,
the
they've
largest
already
minority group.
predicted that. They've already predicted that the shift in our culture, where minorities will be dominant over non-minorities. They've already predicted that. That's that, and with a lot of interracial marriages and things like that, that is already becoming true. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, I remember when I was in high school, I was in the production of The Bad Seed, and I played. Hey, Scooby Life, how you doing? I played, excuse me, the janitor or the help in The Bad Seed, the guy, the working guy. I was on black guy cast. The director was worried about the fact playing this character and the only black guy in the cast, how it would look. But the way I read the script and played the character, I didn't play it as a servant. I played it as um, a wise guy that knew that the person was bad, and I kind of played it up almost like Florence or the Jeffersons. Like I'm the person cleaning, but I'm not kissing anybody's behind,
Hmm.
kind of. So the way I played it, he was worried, but the way I played it was totally. So he was like, "Okay, this will work."
Gotcha. And I wasn't. I always like to say I wasn't as my daughter says, Dad, you're so militant. You're so militant.
Oh, my
Uh,
kids say that to me all the time. I get that all. I get
but I
that from
wasn't
my
all.
son, my daughters.
Yeah, and I wasn't always like this. I wasn't always like this. When I started acting, I was getting parts and I was getting roles. Whereas my other friends who were Hispanic, Latinx weren't, who I thought were more talented than me. Um, and it wasn't, I don't think, it wasn't until I was about 23 that I fully realized that it was because I looked white and they can put me in anything because they can put me in white roles and it wouldn't matter. They could put me in Hispanic roles, it wouldn't matter. And I think when I hit 23, it hit me when a director said, "You need to act less Puerto Rican and more white." And I just was like,
Wow,
what's that supposed to mean?" And again,
wow.
I'm young. I'm trying to get my name out there, and I'm trying to make this a career. And I didn't really know better, to be honest with you. I was angry, and uh, I remember saying, "Okay, well, I can beat Puerto Rican and beat your behind right now in front of everyone, or you can figure out a way to talk to me." And then it was, "Oh my God, I didn't mean it like that," And then it was, "I thought we were cool. We could talk to each other like that. I'm sorry if I crossed the line." And it was one of those, and that's when it hit me that I had I do have, and I recognized it then. I recognize it now that I do have an amount of privilege where some of my family members don't, and my friends don't, and I need to use that to make sure that our voices are heard, their voices are heard. My people's voices are heard, and when I mean my people, I just don't mean Puerto Ricans. I'm talking about the entire Latinx community around the world. So if I can use my translucence, if I can use that to my advantage to make sure that we're all represented and we're all being seen and being heard, then that's what I'll do. And that's when I became militant, and everything. I go out of my way to make sure that I cast Black, Brown, Latinx, Asian, LGBTQ. I make sure that I go out of my way to cast these people in my shows, because I want my shows to be represented, because there's nowhere in the script that says that Cinderella has to be white. There's nowhere in the script, nowhere in the script that tells me, a lead, Beauty and the Beast has to be a white dude. Belle has to be a white person. Belle can be Asian. Belle can be transgender. Belle can be Latinx. Belle can be Black. Like, Belle can be Indian. So to me, when I was 23, that's when I hit that militant point. And then I stopped doing theater for a long time. I stopped for like 8 years because I was just like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then when I got back in, I noticed that nothing changed, and it just got progressively worse. And that there was sexism, there was ageism, there was racism, there was fat phobia. There were there were a lot of things that I was like, wow, that I never really understood till I left and came back and saw it again with a different set of eyes. So I've made it my mission in life to make sure that, for me, what I can do for myself personally, what I can do as Rico, is make sure that the Latinx community is represented. And I want them to audition for my shows, but not only for my shows, I want them to audition everywhere, because you can play Curly in Oklahoma, which I hate that show, but you can play that. There's nowhere in the world. I don't care if it's like the 40s, 30s, whatever it is back in Oklahoma, where they didn't have no Black people there. Like, I don't care. And if it's going to piss people off. It's going to piss people off, and I don't care. And I mean that with all the sincerity I have in my body. Like, I don't care. It's about time that our voices are heard. And if you like it, cool. And if you don't, then you can go somewhere else. You can go in one of them rich neighborhood theaters, which I'm not going to name, and you can watch their all white casts of, I still remember there was a theater, and I'm not going to throw it out there, but there were characters that were supposed to be Black. They had to be Black in the show. It says it in the script. They reference it in dialogue. And they cast white people in there, and they just took the Black out. So to me, I was just like, this is crazy.
I will
so
say
that's
that's
the militant that I am. That's how militant I am.
The play that I did with the play that I did that Rico directed. What was that?
Aida.
That was Aida. We had full representation of Black, white, Hispanic, LGBTQ. We had the full representation during that. Asian. We had the full representation during that performance. And it was some great people all around. Like, everybody was awesome in this production.
Yeah.
And we had the full representation. Even, me coming in as an old Black guy. So it was a great representation all around of everyone who
I think that's what it's going to take. But it's a shame it's not being done on, like, I know in community theaters and in smaller productions, it's probably done a lot more than in some of the bigger main stage productions.
You'd be surprised if they're not. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised if they're not. Like, a lot of the theaters, especially in the Philadelphia area, a lot of the theaters are owned by the good old boys. I always say this: the good old boy network. They don't even let women in. Like, you can't. It's like that old school. It reminds me of the Trading Places. with Duke, Mr. Duke, the Duke and
Yeah.
Duke, and
The
everybody in that
Dukes.
country club.
Yeah.
Everybody in that country club is all white, all old white men. White dudes, and
And
that's
to me, that
we
kind of
need
takes
to get
away
out that.
the purpose of theater is, to kind of reflect back the community, that you serve. And also, too, to me, it seems like it is important uh, for um, for young people to see different reflections on stage and in positions of authority or decision making positions, so that they can vision and dream and think, oh wait, I can do that. Because a lot of times I think opportunities for young people, they don't have them because they don't see that it's possible. And,
Right.
and,
What I will say is, as far as theater goes, I am proud to say I'm part of the board of directors for the Ritz Theater in Oakland, New Jersey.
oh, awesome.
I'm proud to be a
Yeah.
part of this board of directors is
All right.
because our board of directors, we have thank you. We have representation all across the board. We have representation of the LGBTQ community. We have representation of the Latinx community, the Black community, the Asian community, the older generation, younger generation, in
Oh,
all
that's amazing.
aspects, men and women in between. And our purpose is, especially with in light of what happened last year when everybody was, I say, woke du jour. Everybody was woke du jour. Now,
That's right.
Oh,
y'all
I'm
notice now
stealing
that
that
that same,
phrase. I love that. Woke
you
Yeah,
know,
du
woke du
jour.
it's woke
jour.
du,
I like that. Woke du
woke du
jour.
jour. What we gonna be woke about this week? What we gonna be woke about? What woke about this week, Karen? I don't know, Chad. What are you gonna be woke about this week? Um, do y'all notice that once the quarantine, once they were like,
Oh no, did we lose Rico again? Oh.
We listen again.
you see any of that anymore. I don't see any. I'm right. So once we were all open up, they were like, okay, now you can go to the mall and you can go to the movies and you can go out here. You could do that. Just put a mask on. Now it was like, oh, oh yeah, that happened last year. There's no energy. And then I have people that I know, like I have people that were talking that big energy and talking all that woke stuff, and these are like my people, and working for people that were the people we were yelling about last year.
Mm.
And it's just the hypocrite. It just bothers me. But I'm proud that the Ritz is definitely, well, we're keeping that same energy, and that's not just me. That's the entire board from top to bottom, and they're keeping
Oh,
that same
that's
energy. And they go out specifically, make sure that they can have representation. That they try to find all the representation. Right now, it's our second weekend of Once on This Island at the Ritz, and next weekend's closing weekend.
I
And
love that
I
show. I'm sorry, I hate
I went to go
musicals,
see
but
it.
maybe I don't.
I went to go see it last week, and the cast just did a wonderful job. And the cast uh, it was nice to see. It was nice to see, for lack of a better term, I guess. It was nice to see a show that didn't have white people in it. And I had nothing against white. I mean, look at my blonde hair, hot wife right there. So she's uh, but who I think is the greatest, honestly, my opinion. I think
His
it's
wife,
male or female,
Cassie. His wife
the
is
greatest
great.
performer.
I met her like once or
She is
twice. She's a very
she
nice
is
woman.
phenomenal, and she is
Yeah,
talented
she's a very
beyond
nice woman. She
belief.
really, she really dummied down when she married Rico.
She absolutely dummied down when she married me. Absolutely, absolutely, and she bore my child. I mean, like, what the hell was she thinking?
I
What the hell
like
was she
what more could you ask for?
bring another Santiago into this world? Jeez, what are you doing? But anyway, but I went to see the show, and it was nice to see a cast of Black and Brown, a production staff of Black and Brown, and to see
Okay,
to
but now isn't
just
that What's on This Island? Because I remember seeing it back when I lived in New York on
hmm
Broadway. But
me
isn't
too.
it this? Isn't it that same story? That same What's that story?
It's
Different,
more of
you know.
it's actually the story of the Little Mermaid. It's actually
Little
the original
Mermaid.
story
Yeah,
of the Little
that.
Mermaid. So that's what the show That's what the show's about. And and it was so nice to see kids coming out to see the show. It was so nice to see Black people coming out to see the show. It was so nice to see white people. It was just nice to see other mixture of people that normally maybe wouldn't see a show. And I always say, like, it's important for us to have representation on stage, on film, in music. I stick to stage because that's what I know. But there's going to be a kid out there one day, and there's going to be a little Latinx kid out there, a Black kid out there, Asian kid, a little minority kid out there. Who's going to look and be like, they're going to see themselves on stage. They're going to see themselves and go, okay, I can do this. And it's going to inspire them to do this. And you never know who's going to be out there watching. You never know. You could have the next Oscar winner out there. You could have the next president out there. Clearly, anybody can be president now. So you can have
hopefully that won't happen
the
again.
next, from your lips to God's ears. You could have like the next like music.
Even though they're setting the stage to make that happen, but that's another show for another time.
But you know what I mean? Like you never know who's out there watching, so it's important that we have proper representation on stage. I've already been getting some text messages, emails from people like, when you direct In the Heights, you're not even going to cast white people. You're not even going to look. And I will never tell anyone they can't audition for my shows. That's not me. You can audition for your show, but I let you know right up front. Even if you're the most talented person in the world, right up front, you're like number 4. If there's a part and you're auditioning for a certain part, and there's 3 Latinx people auditioning for the same part, and you're white auditioning for the same part, and you might kick ass in that role, but you're number 4 on my list automatically. And I'm being very honest and upfront about that, because we really need to focus on. The problem is with I think the new term now is the global majority, to refer to minority people is the global majority. The problem with theater is they don't think that anyone would cast them in My Fair Lady or a Carousel or any one of the trillion shows that are out there, because they're white shows, but it's never written specifically for white people. So unless a part is specifically written for a certain gender, for certain race, to me, I'm going to cast who I cast. And that's where I would want directors in our area to really focus on. All directors, doesn't matter what color you are, all directors, that you put the best people possible on stage. Now, if I have a really good,
this is all for the sake.
I've had this conversation with my wife. Yeah, if I had a really good white person for a part, and I had a really good Black person for a part, the white person was just a little bit better. Just a little bit. Not much, but just a little bit better. I'm probably still going to cast a Black person, because we don't get those opportunities. Because it's all about opportunities and taking that chance. And I'll take a chance on somebody who's never done theater in their lives. Someone took a chance on me. I can't read music. I've never taken dance lessons. I've never taken acting lessons, yet I got to travel this country doing national tours of musical theater. And I've got to do professional theater. And I've got to this was my job for years. This was my only job. So I was afforded that because someone took a chance on me. It's my way of paying it forward, and it's my way of thanking a community that I'm proud of, thanking a community that made me into the man that I am today, instilling me with values and instilling me with that drive that make them see you. I don't want a seat at the table. I don't want to be happy that someone invited me a seat at the table. I want the table. It's my table. You come into my table. That's what I want. And that's what I want for every person of color, Black, brown, Latinx. That's what I want. We don't want seats at the table. I don't want to be happy like, now you can come sit with us. I want to be like, nah, you can't sit with us. Like,
And
it's
you
about
said
that's
time.
so
what
many.
It's
that's
about
what's
time.
happened throughout pop
Yeah.
culture, at least. That usually it's this table. They give maybe one or two people get a seat at the table, and hopefully you'll have people who with your line of thinking, hey, I don't just want a seat. Oh, but let
I
me
want the
let
table.
me have the table, expand the table,
Yeah.
bring more folks
I
in.
Now I want to say
Exactly.
one thing too. You mentioned My Fair Lady. When I was in 8th grade, we did My Fair Lady in Lawnside. Lawnside, as you know, in New Jersey, is an
Yeah.
all black town. And we did in 8th grade. I played Henry Higgins. We did a
My
production
foxy
of
lady.
My Fair Lady,
Hold
but we called it. But
up.
we called it.
Hold
Wait,
up.
hold it. But we called it My Foxy Lady. Instead of a
First of all,
ballroom dance, we had a disco.
your middle school did My Fair Lady, but called it My Foxy Lady, and
And
you
I was
were
Henry
Henry
Higgins.
I can
Higgins.
attest to that.
Kenny,
Yes.
you were Henry. This sounds like a bad
Yes.
episode of Good Times. This is what it sounds like.
Dude,
That's like when the Evans did when the Evans threw the rent party in the basement. Like that's what this sounds like right now. That's what this sounds like right now.
I know.
Oh my
And
lord!
I was
and
good.
again,
I was
Kenny is
good.
cast as the
I was,
lead when really we all know he's really just Bookman. But
He called you
oh
Buffalo
wow!
Buck.
Now I gotta be Bookman. And I want to say something else. I want to say something else too. Wow, it wasn't that funny. Look,
yes, it was.
I want to.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I want to say something else. Rico, when he first met me, he didn't know me from Adam, and I got referred to be in his play because they needed an older black guy, and I went in and did it, and he was very patient with me, and my part wasn't big, it was very small, and for some reason I don't know how that happened, but I got nominated for a supporting actor award. I don't know how that happened because I tripped through the whole thing, but. It's true what he says. He does stand behind the word on giving people everybody that one chance because somebody gave him a chance. So not knowing me from
That's
Adam,
awesome.
even not knowing I've been in a few productions before, he just gave me that chance, and I just came in and did the part. So
And
I
you
thank
did
him for
well,
that because
and you did a good job.
it was fun. It was really fun, except for the one night that I went on stage. And we were supposed to be like ancient Egypt and everything. And I went on stage with my glasses. But other than that,
Stuff like that always happens, man.
Yeah,
Always happens.
it's not a good play.
because I
I
can't really see anything without my
thrown in there.
glasses. So let me ask you a question. First of all, we're going to need to put in a link to the Ritz Theater for Rico since he's part of that board. And the Ritz Theater is in Oakland, New Jersey. It's right on the White Horse Pike. It's a really good theater. I have not been in years to that theater, but since they're doing some things, do they have any dramatic productions? Because I'm going to have to audition for those.
Oh
I don't
yeah, we
sing.
do. There are plays on our main stage. We do a black box play in the summertime. The whole schedule you'll be able to see online through the website Rich Theater,
Okay, so it's
richtheater.org.
and online is what is it? Ritz?
No, Rich
It's
Theater
what?
Co. Rich Theater Co. Is it .org or .com?
Let's see.
Type
If
in
I
Rich
have
Theater
it right
Co.
here.
Oakland, New Jersey.
Does Jenny know? Does she know?
Say Ritz.
Ritz.org.org.
Rich Theater Co. Co.
.org.
Yes.
Oh wait, let me
I
see.
believe it's
.org.
.org
Yes.
or .com.
Theaterco.org. Okay, I think I got it now.
And next year
Theater.
we will see a production directed by Rico of In the Heights.
Yes.
Which when he has the open auditions, I'll be auditioning for that one black guy. I'm going to shave my
Auditions
beard.
will be in April, so stay tuned.
I'm going to learn how to.
You will
I'm going to
need
learn how
to
to
have.
dance and sing. I can sing a little bit.
You need to have full proof of vaccination.
In the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes.
Oh no, that's not the right. I got Ritz Theater. I think I put the wrong one in the
If you type in
description.
theater, but you know the fancy way they spell theater, like theater
Oh, the
RE
fancy
instead of
theater.
ER. Yes. If you put in Rich
Ah,
Theater, the fancy theater.co, co, it'll come up.
Ritz Theater.co.
Yeah. And that's where Rico will be directing In the Heights next year, and in Jersey also.
Yes,
He's
please
also
come
part of
out
the
and
board.
audition.
He's also part of the board of the Ritz Theater. And actually, I was doing a Lyft ride about a year or so ago, and everybody in the car knew you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
I was talking.
okay.
And one of the girls in the car, I think she was in the play that I was in with you, and I didn't recognize her because we all had masks on and stuff. But
Okay.
everybody was saying great things about you,
Thank God.
and I was like, well, I know him.
There's some theater folk. There's some theater folks out here that ain't got nice things to say about me too either. So it's either way.
I can understand that. I get that.
I always say 10 people,
I get that. I
10
get
people
that.
can meet me. 10 people can meet me and they'll get 10 different versions of me. So it all depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
So
Oh, this is exciting because it looks
I
like
get
In
this.
the Heights is going to be in July of 2022. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. All right. Because
I
again,
get the same
being
thing in the
a
spoken
school
word community.
principal, I'm usually in school, but in July, I work 12 months a year, but
You
hey,
might have to come up.
I might need to take
Cassie.
off in July and make
Yeah,
sure
you might have
it
to come up,
coincides
and
with
we
me
might have
to
to
see
both
the
get
show.
tickets for In the Heights and
I'm
go
telling
see
you,
it. I won't need
hip
tickets because
hop,
when I audition, I'm going to be in there.
Oh, yes.
hip hop,
The one
musical
black
theater.
guy.
I mean, what can you what can
Hold
you
on a second.
what can you
Hold
expect?
on a second. And I can
Oh, they're
dance
doing
too.
falsettos.
Oh God, he's gonna
Oh,
dance.
greater tuna. That's
I can
okay.
dance too, man. I can
Ticket
hip hop
boom
dance.
pageant. All right. Well,
In the
I think I
90s, I
got
used
the
to be one of
right
them hip
link
hop
in there
dancers.
now. So if you can check that out, you can check out some of the productions.
Yeah,
Again,
we
we'll
have the
look
link on
forward
the
to In the
page.
Heights next summer. So I might
Yeah.
have to
Auditions will
try
be
to
in
check that
April. So for your viewers, anyone in the
Kathy has
Philly,
the link on the page,
Jersey
so
area,
please check it out.
So
Yeah, we have the link on the page, so
definitely check
please go
that
check
out.
that out.
And again, as always, Rico, it's just great conversation with you. I love what you
Yeah.
bring to the show, and we are so thankful
We didn't even
that
get to talk
that you
about
and when you
we
come
didn't get to talk
when
about
you come
half the
back to
other
Jersey,
stuff.
when you come back to Jersey, Kathy, you gotta let me know so then we can actually go out to eat, have actual conversation in person,
Oh,
masks
that'd be
on,
awesome.
obviously.
Of course.
But we
Wait,
should
time
definitely.
out.
I mean, Kenny could come too if
I'm
he'd
in
like.
Jersey. I'm in Jersey. You don't invite me anywhere. Hey,
That's because he
Kenny, you
has
could come
a
too.
young child, and he doesn't want you anywhere near him.
I don't want to come. I got something to do. That day, I got something to do. I didn't want to come.
You washing your hair? You washing your hair? Because that's what I'll be
Yeah.
doing. Washing my
I'll
hair
be
too.
washing my
Me and you
beard.
washing my hair. Washing my hair.
You're washing our hair, man.
Oh, but nice hat. I'm the only one. I don't have my. Usually at school, the kids, will comment on the fact that I have
Got
my
little
Eagles
Well, down there,
lanyard on.
they all cheer
old
for the
school.
Panthers. They
Yeah,
all cheer for
they're
the
either
Panthers, and you cheer for
Panthers
the
or
Eagles.
believe it or not, there's a ridiculous amount of Pittsburgh fans out down here too. Steelers,
A lot of
everything. I'm like,
transplants. A lot of transplants go down
ew.
south.
Yeah,
I met more
yeah.
people
Yeah.
from Philly, Jersey, Delaware when we went to Myrtle Beach that live in South Carolina than I was like, you're from? Oh yeah. They were like, I had my Eagles hat on. They were like, oh yeah, I'm from Philly. Oh, I'm from South Jersey. And we
The
just kept
last
meeting them. Their
time,
own stores, own restaurants. They're like, we came here for vacation and we decided never to leave.
Just to stay.
one time when I was there last May in North Carolina, and me and my cousin went to excuse me, went to the Applebee's, and there was a couple there that was from Vineland who had moved to North Carolina, and they were from Vineland. And I'm like, "You're from Vineland?" I'm like, "I live in Runnymede." They're like, "Oh man, what? Oh yeah."
You're like,
Like,
I'm
I'm
from
sitting there, I'm
Jersey.
like, "Oh wow."
You're like a Joe Pescopo skit.
Yeah,
You're from Jersey?
I'm
I'm from
a
Jersey.
skit no matter
Oh,
where
yeah.
I go. I don't.
That's true. That's true. Well, listen, we got
My
to wrap
uncle
up
was
this
planning on
little
moving to North
skit.
Carolina. Yeah, no,
We
my
have
uncle's
to
moving to
wrap
North
up
Carolina,
this
and I
little.
told him no.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Thank you
not.
for having
I'm
me
not
on.
doing it.
I want to. Yeah.
No
Hopefully,
problem.
I get to move back someday. I think I'm missing that Philly, Jersey area. Anyway, that's a show for a whole nother time. But like I said, we're wrapping up this show. Once again, thank you so much for being here, for helping us celebrate, for enlightening us, educating us, and just informing us. So it's just awesome. Just thank you
Well,
so much.
thank you for having me, and for all of your viewers, I would need you to do a little bit of homework and look up Grito de Lares, celebrated just a few days ago, September 23rd. It was the only time that Puerto Rico had their independence, even though it was for a few hours. It was a revolutionary thing, and then the U.S. came
Yeah.
in and just
Did what they usually do.
and just laid everybody out. But it's a very it's a national holiday in Puerto Rico. It's a very big deal. So if you yourselves or viewers want to look up something cool and just read about it, look that up. There's a lot of information online. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
right.
Okay. You know what is, and we might have to
I
have.
lost your picture, Kenny. But
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
here.
We can hear you. Yeah, I don't know why I lost your picture.
Have like. I'm here.
I know.
I'm
I
right
see you,
here.
but
Can you
I'm
see
not
me?
seeing you on the screen. Once again, thank
Okay.
you, Ed. I don't know what happened to you.
All right. So I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not doing
Wow.
anything. I swear. I just don't know. You were
Wow.
here, and then
Wow.
you're gone. Like I hear
Okay.
you. All right. So that must mean we got to wrap up the show.
Yeah.
I don't know
We're
what happened to
15
you.
minutes
Can
past.
you see it?
I can see myself.
You can see yourself. Nobody else can see you. Well, you know what? Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. God bless your soul and keep living.
We'll see you next week on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and we will see you next Saturday night.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.